بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أعزائي طلاب الصف التاسع مدرسة أسامة بن زيد الإعدادية المستقلة للبنين. Welcome to the second part of the National Tests revision. In this part, we're going to focus on the reading section. The reading section in the National Test is composed of 4 reading texts with 12 questions. What will we present? We'll present reading texts with different types of questions. Let's get started. If you have a reading text like this, 2 or 3 paragraphs, what's the best way to start answering the questions? Should we start with reading the text first, or should we start the other way around by reading the questions? Reading the questions first gives you the chance to have an idea about what the text is about. Let's see how. Here, for example, question 1. Why did the fisherman fight so hard to get the fish into his boat? In this question, without even reading the text, you have an idea about the text's topic, what the text is about. It's about a fisherman who is trying to catch a fish. So let's read the options for this first question. A. Because he could sell the fish for a lot of money. Because he had never lost a fish from his fishing line. Because he was very hungry and wanted to eat the fish. Because he had promised his wife a large fish for dinner. Now we read the question and the 4 options. Let's go back to the text to see how did we get the answer. Let's start from the beginning. A fisherman sat in his boat. Suddenly, he felt a strong pull on his fishing line. The man grasped his line and struggled to pull back. So here, struggled to pull back. He worked so hard. What an enormous fish this must be. A fish this big would bring in a nice price at the market. A fish this big would bring in a nice price at the market. So let's go back to the questions. Why did the fisherman fight so hard to get the fish into his boat? In the text, it talked about a nice price, price, the cost. So here, is there any mention of the price? No, but there is another word for the price, money. Yes, because he could sell the fish for a lot of money. So, did you have to read all the text first? No, you began with reading the questions, you read the options, and you went back to make sure of your answer. Let's move on to question 2. In line 17, in this type of question, you have to count the lines until you reach the sentence in which there is the question. In line 17, why does the fisherman think the fish is a soldier? And as you see here, the word soldier is between inverted commas. It's an important word, a key word. So let's read the options. A. Because the fisherman felt brave. Because the fisherman was in the army. Because the fish had escaped so many hooks. Because the fish wouldn't be caught again. Let's refer back or go back to line 17 and read around the word soldier, before and after. Line 17, as you see here, the lines are numbered. This is line 5. This is line 10. This is line 15, 16, 17. So, where shall we start reading? 1 or 2 lines before the word. From here, for example, this fish had been in other battles. You know battle? War. This fish had been in other battles before. Battles that the fish had won. Of course, the fish had battles against other fishermen. The man no longer saw a fish on the floor of his boat. Now he saw a great soldier. You know soldier? Warrior. Jundi. محارب. Was the fish a soldier? In fact, it's not, but that's how the fisherman saw it. Okay, so let's go back to the question. In line 17, why does the fisherman think the fish is a soldier? Because the fisherman felt brave? The question is not about the fisherman, it's about the fish itself. So this is wrong answer. B, because the fisherman was in the army? Again, the question is not about the fisherman, it's about the fish. C, because the fish had escaped so many hooks. You know hook? This instrument, this tool with which you catch fish. Because the fish would not be caught again. No, the fisherman was not talking about again or next times. He talked about previous times, previous battles. So this is the answer, because the fish had escaped. So many hooks had escaped. Again, the man no longer saw a fish on the floor of his boat. Now he saw a great soldier. Why? Because this fish had been in other battles before. Now you got how to answer the question. Let's move on to question 3. Why did the fisherman throw the fish back in the water? After catching the fish, the fisherman threw back the fish in the water. Why? A, he discovered that the fish was too old to taste good? Of course not. There was no mention in the text about the age of the fish. Is too old or too young. He admired the fish. He liked the fish for surviving a long and difficult life, for living a long and difficult life. He realized he could use the hooks in its lip to catch more fish. Again, there was no mention of catching more fish. The text focuses on this fish. He decided that other people needed the fish more than he did. The text mentioned nothing about other people. It's only about this fisherman and this fish. So, why did the fisherman let the fish go? Why did he throw the fish back in the water? Because he admired the fish for surviving a long and difficult life. Question 4. How did the fisherman most likely feel at the end of the story? So, there is a clue in the question itself about where to look for the answer at the end of the story. So we're not going to read from the beginning, we're going to focus on the end of the story, on the end of the text. How did the fisherman most likely feel? We're looking for how he felt, his feeling. A, he was angry but ready to fight the fish again. Was he angry about the fish? Of course not. B, he was confused about where the fish had gone. Had the fish escaped? No, he caught the fish already. So this is wrong answer. He regretted that he let the big fish win the battle. Again, the fish didn't win this battle. He caught the fish already. So all these answers are wrong because they are against what's mentioned in the text. Let's see answer D. He was exhausted, exhausted, very tired, because he strived, he struggled, worked very hard to pull the fish. Yes, he was exhausted, but proud. He liked what he did. He was exhausted, but proud to let the fish go free. Yes. He let the fish go free after he caught it because he liked this fish. So this is the correct answer. Let's go back to the text to make sure. With care, the man removed his hook. He himself removed his hook and the other hooks from the fish's mouth. With respect, he threw the fish over the side of his boat. So he himself let the fish go free. This was the first text with 4 questions that give us examples of how the reading questions are like. Let's now move on to second text. Again, here you have a text composed of 4 paragraphs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Without reading the text, or without beginning with reading the text, we learned that we can begin with reading the questions to have an idea about what the text is about, and then go back to look for the answer in the specific place, in the right place, to save time. Let's look at this very important question. This type of question is usually repeated in reading texts in the national test. What's this question about? Let's read it. 1. What is the main purpose of the text? What is the main idea of the text? This is a very important type of question. It looks for the general idea of the text, what the text as a whole is about. So it requires that you read the whole text, but you read it quickly, just to get the main idea or the main purpose of the text. Let's read the options. A. To teach how to make recycled art, to criticize the difficulty of recycling, to introduce readers to recycled art, to explain the advantages of recycling. So now we got to know what the text is mainly about. It's about recycled art or recycling. That's good. But what's the main idea of the text? Remember that the other 3 options, which are incorrect, which are wrong, might be found in the text. But each one of them might be the idea of a certain paragraph of the 4 paragraphs. As you see, paragraph 1, this may have a certain idea. Paragraph 2, this may have a certain idea or purpose. Paragraph 3 and paragraph 4. But we are looking for the main purpose of the whole text. Let's go back to the text. Have you ever taken something that was someone's rubbish, you know rubbish, garbage, and make it into something new and interesting? If you have recycled it. Recycling takes an item that was rubbish and puts it into something new and different. This first paragraph gives us a definition of recycling, what recycling is. Some recycling happens in factories. Materials made of paper, plastic, and glass are cleaned and melted down to make new products. For example, old plastic bottles can be used to make new bottles. Old paper can be used to make new pieces of paper. In fact, clothing can even be made out of recycled plastic. This paragraph focuses on the materials that we can recycle. You can recycle materials yourself as well. Instead of throwing away a glass bottle, you could decorate it and make it into a flower vase. Instead of putting a newspaper in the rubbish can, you might cut it into pieces and use it to make a collage or another piece of art. You could then display your new recycled art in your home. There are many different possibilities for recycling in your own life. Recycling has many benefits, advantages. So this paragraph is about the advantages of recycling. So let's start here. To teach how to make recycled art. Did the text give us information about how to make recycled art? No, it told us about the definition of recycling, the materials that could be recycled. So this is not the answer. To criticize the difficulty of recycling, to tell us that recycling is difficult? No, on the contrary, it encourages us to do recycling. So this is not the answer. To introduce readers to recycled art, to give readers an idea of recycled art, what recycled art is, what materials are recycled, what are the advantages of recycling. Yes, because each paragraph of the 4 paragraphs gives us a piece of information about recycling. Here is definition of recycling. Here is the types of materials that could be recycled. Here is, for example, about what to do with your objects or products. Here are the advantages or benefits of recycling. So the whole text focuses on, or the main purpose of the text is, introducing readers to recycled art, giving readers an idea about recycling art. Question 2. Which detail? This is the main second type of question in the reading texts, which looks for details. In the previous question, we looked for the main purpose or the main idea of the whole text. Here in question 2, we are looking for detail. Which detail from the text is weak support for recycling? Weak support for recycling. Which detail from the text is not very important about recycling? Let's read the 4 options. You could then display your new recycled art in your home. You know, display. Display means show. Recycling makes an item that was rubbish into something new. This is good or strong support for recycling because it gives us an idea, a definition. Recycling makes an item that was rubbish. Remember that the question itself looks for what? Which detail from the text is weak support. This means that 3 of the options are correct, are strong support, only 1 is weak support. Less space in landfills is needed because recycling produces less waste. This is one of the advantages here, as you see here. Recycling also saves space in landfills. Recycling reduces the need to cut down trees because paper can be reused. Yes, this is another advantage, as you see here. Reduces the need to cut down trees. So, the answer of this question, the weak support, the one detail that's not important, you could then display your new recycled art in your home. Show your new recycled art in your home. Whether to show it in your home, at your school, in a friend's home, on the street, it's not important. It's weak support. It does not support the idea of the text. So this is the answer. Question 3. Which of the following benefits? Have you seen this word before in the text? Yes. Here, recycling has many benefits. So you could guess that the answer to question 3 is here in this last paragraph. Which of the following benefits of recycling is not mentioned in the text? You have to take care when reading questions to look for such tricky words. Which of the following benefits of recycling is not mentioned in the text? What does the question mean? It means that 3 benefits are mentioned, only 1 is not mentioned. So let's read the options. A. It saves space in landfills. B. It saves natural resources. C. It is a way to be creative and responsible. D. It is a way to make new plastic and glass. Let's go back to the last paragraph and look for the 3 benefits of recycling. Recycling has many benefits. It helps save natural resources. Is this mentioned in the question? Yes. Where? It saves natural resources. So this is not the answer. It reduces the need to cut down trees. Is it mentioned? Cut down trees? No. Recycling also saves, this is the second benefit. Recycling also saves the space in landfills. Is it mentioned? Landfills? Yes, here, landfills. So, A and B are not the correct answer. Finally, third benefit. Recycling is a way to be creative and responsible. Is it mentioned? It is a way to be creative and responsible. Yes. These 3 benefits are mentioned in the text. So only 1 is not mentioned, which is this. It is a way to make new plastic and glass. So this is the answer. What's important about this question is the word not. Let's move on to text 3. As you see, the text is composed of 3 paragraphs. Let's start with question 1. Also, as I told you before, usually in reading texts, the first question is about the main purpose or the main idea. What's the main purpose of the text? Let's read the 4 options and go back to skim. What's a skim? To read quickly, to read the text quickly. To entertain readers with a story about strange birds. To entertain, to tell us a story. When we read the text, we're going to find out if it is a story or not. To describe to readers how California condors live in zoos. Is the whole text about zoos or no? To persuade, to convince readers to save California condors. Is the whole text about the role of the readers in saving California condors or no? To inform readers about a type of endangered bird. To inform, to give information about a type, one type of endangered bird. Let's go back to the text. The California condor is a large bird that lives in the southwestern United States. It is a huge bird, mostly black with a pink head. It usually weighs about 8 to 10 kilos, which is very heavy for a bird. In fact, it is the largest bird in North America. So this first paragraph gives us information about the California condor, where it lives, that it is huge, its color, the color of the head, the weight. Okay. Paragraph 2. The wingspans, wingspans, the length of the wings of this bird. The wingspans of condors are especially remarkable. Remarkable, that you could see easily. They measure almost 3 meters from tip to tip. 3 meters, the wingspan. This is very big, very long for a bird. Condors use these extremely long wings to catch the warm air currents that rise up when the sun heats the ground. Condors can float in the air for hours with very little effort. While they are floating and gliding, they look for food. This paragraph gives us information about how heavy or how big the condor is and how it looks for food. Paragraph 3. California condors are endangered. They are endangered. They are in the danger of extinction. They could die out. In 1979, there were only about 30 of the birds alive. By 1982, there were 21 of the birds living in the wild. So the number here decreased, went down from 1979 to 1982. Scientists realized that something needed to be done to help the condors. So all the wild birds were caught and taken to zoos. The word zoos was one of the options in question 1, if you remember, zoos. It's the first time to see this word in the whole text. So sure, this is not the answer, because it was only mentioned in 1 paragraph. The birds were protected and their numbers increased. As a result, in 1992, some birds were set free into the wild. Today, there are almost 300 California condors, with more than 125 of them living in the wild. So let's go back to question 1 about the main purpose or the main idea of the text. Is it a story? Of course it's not a story. To describe to readers how California condors live in zoos, it only mentioned zoos in the last paragraph, so this is not the main idea of the whole text. To persuade readers to save California condors, did the text ask readers to help save the condors? No. To inform readers about a type of endangered bird? Yes. The whole text, all 3 paragraphs of the text, give us information. How do you know? As we said before, paragraph 1, it gives us information about where this condor lives, how huge it is, its color, its color of the head, its weight, the wingspans or the length of the wing, how it flies, how it looks for food, the numbers. So this is the main idea or the main purpose of the text, to inform readers about a type of endangered bird. Here I should remind you that reading all the options is very important. Don't be too hasty in choosing an answer. You have to read all the 4 options, even if you are sure of one of them. Question 2. Why does the author mention the weight and wingspan of California condor? This is a good question. Why? Because usually in reading questions, we look for keywords. What's keywords? These are important words in the text, in the text of the question, which are mentioned in the text itself, in the passage. To save time, in order not to read the whole text, you look in the question for keywords. Why does the author mention, author means writer, the weight and wingspan? In which paragraph is mentioned the weight and wingspan? Wingspan, yes. And here in paragraph 2, and weight here in paragraph 1. So we're going to read from here. What was the question again? Why? Why does the author mention, why does the writer tell us about the weight and wingspans of California condors? Let's read the options. To prove that it is the largest bird in North America, it is the biggest bird in North America. To explain why it lives in the southwestern United States. To show how it can fly quickly with very little effort. To illustrate, to show how it finds warm air currents above the ground. So we're going to read from here. It usually weighs about 8 to 10 kilos, which is very heavy for a bird. This is a very big bird, a large bird. In fact, it is the largest bird in North America. Did you see this sentence or this phrase in the options? Yes, here. It is the largest bird in North America. How do we know that it is the largest bird? From its weight and wingspan. Here in paragraph 2, the wingspans of condors are especially remarkable. They measure almost 3 meters from tip to tip. So the author or the writer mentioned these 2 pieces of information, weight and wingspan, to prove that it is the largest bird in North America. Question 3. This is a different type of question which focuses on word meaning. The question is about a word in the text, but we should come up with its meaning. Its meaning from the text as it mentioned in the text. The word float in line 6. Usually you are given the line number and the word in the text is usually underlined, as you see here, without even counting numbers of the lines, you have it here, underlined. The word float in line 6 of the text means, you might know the word float from science, float, to be on the surface of the water. Are we talking about water here? No, we are talking about a bird that flies. So let's see the options and go back to look for the word in the text. A. To clean its feathers with its beak. Is float about cleaning? No. To fly in the air without flapping its wings. Of course, the text is about a bird that flies. But the original meaning of the word float is swimming, being on the surface of the water. To swim in the water without kicking its legs. To hunt for food by using its sense of smell. Is it hunting? Of course not. Let's go back to the text to look for the word. When we find the word, we should read further backward from the beginning, for example, of the sentence. Condors can float in the air. What's float in the air? For hours with very little effort. So it has to do with the air. And a bird in the air, what does it do? It flies. So here, the word float in line 6 of the text means, of course, not swimming, because we are not talking about water. We are talking about a bird in the air. So it's to fly in the air without flapping its wings. It's a certain meaning of flying, without flapping, without moving the wings. Question 4. Which of the following sentences best describes what happened to the California condors from 1979 to 1992? Again, here this question looks for a specific detail, and we are going to use keywords to look for the paragraph in which we could find the answer. Which of the following sentences best describes what happened to the California condors from 1972 to 1992? From 1979 to 1992. So, these 2 years, where in the text were they mentioned? Yes, here, 1979. 1992, yes, here. So it's in the last paragraph. So we're going to look for the answers in this last paragraph. Answer A. The population steadily increased. You know, increase, go up. The population did not change over the years, stayed the same. The population increased and then decreased. The number was big, then the number was small. The population decreased and then increased. As you see here, option C and D are opposites. So we're going to look in the text for the correct answer. What happened from 1979 to 1992? California condors are endangered. In 1979, there were only about 30 of the birds alive. By 1982, there were 21. So here 30, then 21. So this is decrease. So what happened in 1992? Some birds were set free. Before it, in the zoos, the birds were protected and their numbers increased. So from 1979 to 1982, the number decreased. From 1982 to 1992, the number increased. Decrease, then increase. Where? Here? Of course not. Here. Correct. The population decreased, then increased. So this is how we look for answers in the text. Along these 3 texts we have seen together today, we got to know a few facts about dealing with reading texts in the national exam. First, the types of questions. We have 3 main types of question. One type deals with the main idea or the main purpose of the whole text, all the paragraphs of the text. The second type is the question that looks for specific details, in which you should look for keywords in the question that are mentioned in some way or another in the text. You decide on the paragraph, and then you decide on the line in which you could find the answer. Third type of the questions is the type of question that looks for word meaning, as it is mentioned in the text, word meaning from context. So these are the 3 main types of reading questions that you're going to see, inshallah, in the national exam. I hope we have helped in some way with understanding how to deal with reading questions, and we wish you all the best of luck. Thank you very much.